Hare Krishna, are you on this call yet?
I tried to log in, but it says you've got another meeting in progress, so...
Yeah, so I sent you the link. Do you remember?
Yeah, I've used that link and I've sent them all out.
Oh. Anyway, I'll send you this number, just send it to them. I don't know what the hell's happening with this thing. I just clicked on this start. It's just a minute. Oh.
You want me to send you the number?
Wait a minute. Karshna's on now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now Gadai's on, so it seems like everybody's using that link.
It got sent by email, didn't it?
I don't know. I asked Jai Krishna to send it.
Yeah, I think he sent it by email. I mean, I initially tried to log in the old one. I guess a lot of people will be logging in the old one.
But it does say that you are in another meeting. That means that the link is not.
Jai emailed the new code out.
Yeah.
So everyone should have got it.
But I still put the old link in our reading group, so I didn't notice.
There's 3 on now anyway.
Okay, I'll log in with that one then. I mean, like they said, I've sent it out.
Yeah, they're saying that you send it by email. I wonder if everybody got it. When did you send it out?
A while ago.
Okay.
Pretty much the day you sent me it.
All right, so okay, then we'll start then.
What did you say? Me.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So we can start then. Or should we have a little kirtan for 5 minutes while everybody comes on?
Yes, please.
We'll do that then.
Shall I play the Mridanga?
Yeah, go on, you play Madanga. That I can play cartels.
I think there might be a bit of a delay.
So everybody ready?
You can play right now here.
I'm ready. There's a delay. That's my only concern. It'll be offbeat. That's for sure. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
hear it?
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
I think you get a delay, don't you? I'm not sure how they do it when they've got people in different places managing to do it. You have different software, I guess.
You can't put the mics on, otherwise it just becomes a cacophony of sound. So yeah,
Symphony, a symphony.
yeah. Yeah, anyway, so we better start. We're a bit short start. I think we might have got mixed up with the emails. Or with the, you know, I started a new link with a series of classes, so we sent it out to everybody. Maybe there's a bit of confusion, I don't know. Okay, so where did we get to last week?
Chapter 10.
We were up to we finished chapter 9, didn't we? And chapter 9, that's right. So in chapter 9, it more or less where, you know, Maitreya was asked by Vidura a series of questions. Welcome everybody. There was a series of questions, and it says that these questions were more or less the same or similar questions to which were asked in the second canto by Parikshit Maharaj of Shukadev Goswami, and these questions are answered all the way through the Srimad Bhagavatam. So then we went on to, you know, so they're ready for speaking, that's the point, and they're going to speak about Lord Brahma and what we've heard before in previous weeks, how he comes from the, you know, lotus flower from Govardhan Kshaya Vishnu. This is the 8th chapter, which we read last week. Now he searches for the absolute truth. He searches for his source of existence. And he eventually sees Mahavishnu in the water. And so then he starts to, you know, petition Mahavishnu for the intelligence of, you know, what should he do? And he performed tapasya. And then when he performed that tapasya, well, he didn't actually, at first he just heard the words tapa, but now he's performed the austerity and his eyes open, he sees Mahavishnu there, he sees his origin. And so now Mahavishnu is going to empower him. powers Lord Brahma with a mode of passion and the intelligence to create. So that ends chapter 8. And so then Lord Brahma, now he's got this ability, he prays to Mahavishnu, to how to do it, to give him the intelligence. And he also prays that please help me not to become influenced by this ability that you've given me. I think everybody can relate to that. We're very much thinking that we are actually performing the activity and we're getting the result. It's just due to our nature in this material world. And, we're brought up that way, that we have to make an effort if we want to get on in life. And we never see beyond that. It's all due to our own endeavour. So Lord Brahma doesn't want to fall into that trap, which is very easy. This is what Indra falls into all the time. We keep hearing about the pastimes of Indra. We have to constantly check. And, this is a great realisation. If we can actually remember that we're not the doer. In one respect, the materialist mind, it may be a real setback for him to think, well, what's the point? But for a devotee, he realizes that his life is actually in the hands of Krishna. And the more we struggle and try to think we're the doer, the more Krishna has to, let us go for a while and run into a few walls and bang, get knocked about a little bit, and we come back and think, what's going on? So we're better off thinking that first. Because when we actually see Krishna as the doer, it's like a great relief that all I have to do is, as we said last week, is just learn how to develop devotion for the Lord and be happy. And just do the service in that mode. If it's successful, great. If it's not, that's also great. It's Krishna's prerogative. And I'm okay with that.
Maharaj, that seems an easy mentality. I know myself, when I was living in the temple, it was an easier mentality to cultivate. Because if you only brought £30 home from book distribution or whatever, there was a safety net of the temple management system. Everything was kind of arranged for you. Your dhotis got washed for you, your dinner was there anyway. But when you're outside it, it's everybody's working, we've all got jobs, we have to justify ourselves to a manager, we have to produce a certain amount in a day. It's quite a hard mentality to cultivate. I was just wondering if you had any advice on
that. Really? We have to do it. That's all there is to it. We're in difficult situations. You know how to get over it better than me. You're in that situation. And so, Krishna's constantly sending situations where we have to, like this pandemic, everybody realizes that, it's completely out of their hands. Even the governments realize it's not in their hands, but they don't know that. All they've got to do is, accept a little bit of knowledge and get down on their knees and pray to Krishna and it'll all be okay. No problem. But they can't accept that. But a devotee's got that information. And so we have to keep, trying to implement it. It's not easy to let go of things we've been attached to for so long. We have to gradually let go. And even that's a little painful sometimes. It's a leap of faith. But anyway, we'll see at the end of this period, we're going through what will happen. No devotee will be harmed, as a result of this pandemic, in one respect. Krishna's looking after the soul, of course. So it's practice. That's the whole process, to become fully dependent on Krishna. Okay, so we'll carry on. We just finishing off from what we were talking last week. We haven't even started yet. So Krishna for that ability not to let it go to his head. So he becomes, you know, affected by that. And then so that ends that chapter more or less. We won't go into any more detail there. So there, you know, we come on to the 10th chapter. So when he instructed Brahma, then the Lord disappeared. That's it. And so then Lord Brahma got everything he needed to create. So I'm not going to do a lot of talking this time. We're going to let, you know, read through, because I think that's the easiest way to get benefit out of it. I will speak in some parts, but basically this 10th chapter is called the Divisions of Creation. And there's there's 6 types of primary creation. That's by Kanadakashaya Vishnu and Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. And there's 4 types of secondary creation, or Sarga and Visarga. Visarga, that's done by Lord Brahma. So we're going to go through them both. Okay, so basically I'll just, we're going to be dealing with time actually, because time is making everything work. But before he starts talking about time, he starts talking about, you know, the process of, he starts by the process of creation, because they're both, creation doesn't work without time. And it's the things that happen which we gauge time by. So first of all, he starts talking about the 3 things, which is called the Kala, which is the end of this creation, the end of the universal creation. Dravya, the end of the universal elements. This is the end of Brahma's day. So first is the end of Brahma's life. The second is called the end of Brahma's day. And can anybody guess what the third one is? Everybody's looking through the Bhagavatam now. It's the end of our life. That's also a devastation. This is called guna, due to one's own action. So that's the 3 types of destruction. And then there's, you know, 6 types of primary creation. Remember we talked about creation of the Mahatattva, the false ego, the tanmatras, the senses, or the objects of the sense, and Indriya, the senses, and the demigods, and finally the creation of ignorance. And we, you know, if we're not in ignorance, we can't enjoy this world. It's like that, isn't it? We have to be in ignorance to enjoy this world. And then the 4 types of secondary creation. So, you know, Brahma creates the immovable plants. That's the first thing. And then he creates the lower species, the animals, and finally the and then the human beings, and finally the demigods. This is the order that everything's created. So now we can come back to, we're on to 11. So this is called the calculations of time. So this is like time's table. So we'll not read through this. I'll just briefly tell you what the times table is. It starts with, what's the smallest division of time? It's the atom. It's called a paramanu. And so it's the smallest particle. So 2 paramanus make 1 anu. And 3 anus make 1 tarasrenu, and so forth. And then we eventually come up to the year. So when do we get to the second? Let's see how many divisions there are below the second. So 1 lagu is 2 seconds. Sorry, 1 lagu, wait a minute, let's have a look. Oh, it's a shana. It's 1.5. just under 1.5 seconds. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 divisions below that. Sometimes we hear about them. Lava matter, sadhu sangha. Is it lava matter or a 11th of a second with a pure devotee can give one complete perfection. And we hear the word anu quite often as well. So we'll start reading together. Oh, then it talks about the, the 1 year. And then it starts talking. I say, I think I'm seeing him actually. She sent out, I don't know whether everybody got it. It was the how the universe is built up. Really good, actually. I'll send it to everybody if you haven't got it.
There's a lot of other ones. I was studying them right up to this lesson. They're fascinating. He's done several that he recommends you watch some of his pre-ones before the one that, sent. I think I sent you, first of all, that Haridas sent. They're very good.
Who's compiled them?
I can't remember. I'm so sorry.
Have you got them all?
What happened was you link him with, say, the one that Haridas sent, and then he will recommend that you watch a couple of others that he's done to sort of help you understand the one you're viewing. So I sent you 2, and the
Is it
second
Radha
one,
Mohan? Is it Radha Mohan?
I think it might be. Yes, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's starting to turn into cartoons. Have you noticed? These rap. Somebody sent me one rap, and it's this. It's one devotee. One of the Welsh devotees, and another devotee. They call him. What do they call him now? Can't remember his name, but he just, he's got his normal head, on a cartoon body, and he's talking and dancing to this rap. And there's all these difficult, futuristic scenes that's going by, and then all of a sudden there'll be Jagannath Baladev Subhadra will go by, and then the Hare Krishna will chime in at the back. It's really good, Okay, so I won't bother finding it. We've got to get on. So where are we going to start from? So what happens is that now he's explained all these different times, Maitreya. Vidura asks, what about beyond Rama's time? What happens there? So there are some, I don't know if you've noticed in the Bhagavatam and read, we'll read about somebody in one time span, and then we'll read about them in another time span. Like Narada Muni, anybody else, any others that we read like that? Bhrigu Muni, he's popping up all the time in different, he must live for, 3 million years or something. But I say that's what happens, is that these are actually special devotees who actually travel in different time periods like that. So it's not just Narada Muni, there's Vashishta Muni and devotees like that. They're actually coming and going when needed. So we'll probably hear about that later. This is what he asks about those who live as long as Brahma and beyond. So we can start at 16. How are we going to do this? We'll start, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the lineup. Let's start at the top with, we started at the top last time actually, with Marty Ramji. So I don't know about starting with Ambada. He's never ready. He didn't have it ready last time. So are you ready, Ambada, to read? I'll tell you what. We'll come back to Ambada. We'll start with John.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna is there.
Yes.
Sounds as if you're at the end of a tunnel. Can you come nearer the?
Okay.
Have you got the Bhagavatam?
Yes, I got it. Yeah. It said chapter 13.
Chapter 11.
You have to turn your mic up, Mbada.
Okay, more up.
Anyway, look.
What about now?
Turn your mic up more.
Okay, yeah.
That's it.
What about now?
It's all right.
Okay.
You see, 11.
The two doorkeepers.
No, we're on chapter 11.
Okay, it's chapter 11.
16. I'll let you find that. We'll come back to you. Jai Krishna Prabhu, can you read?
All right, okay.
16, 11:16. He's not there either. Krishna Prabhu, can you read? He's probably in the kitchen.
I think I got it.
Okay.
Vidura said, I now understand the life duration of the residents of the Pitta planets and heavenly planets, as well as that of the human beings. Now kindly inform me of the duration of life of those greatly learned living entities who are beyond the range of a kalpa.
Carry on.
O spiritually powerful one, you can understand the movements of eternal time, which is the controlling form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you are a self-realized person, you can see everything by the power of mystic vision.
So there's a link here. It talks about that what I just mentioned, the lifespan of those beyond the calculation of the yugas. Okay, carry on. 18.
Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millennium...
Sorry. First, Maitreya, it's everything logically. Before he starts explaining about those who live longer than Lord Brahma, which was the original question, he starts explaining how to measure time. He starts explaining about the yugas first, the different yugas. All right, carry on.
Maitreya said, O Vidura, the 4 millenniums are called Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali Yugas. The aggregate number of years of all these combined is equal to 12,000 years of the demigods. The duration of Satya millennium equals 4,800 years of the demigods. The duration of Treta millennium equals 3,600 years of the demigods. The duration of Dwapara millennium equals 2,400 years, and that of the Kali millennium is 1,200 years of the demigods. The transitional periods before and after every millennium, which are a few hundred years, as aforementioned, are known as Yuga Sandhyas, or the conjunction of 2 millenniums, according to the expert astronomers.
Okay.
In those periods, all kinds of religious activities are performed.
So Mataji, can you read?
Text 21. O Vidura, in the second millennium, mankind properly and completely maintained the principles of religion, but in other millenniums, religion gradually decreased by one part as irreligion was proportionately admitted. Outside of the 3 planetary systems, Svarga, Martya, and Patala, the 4 yugas multiplied by 1,000 comprise 1 day on the planet of Brahma. A similar period comprises a night of Brahma, in which the creator of the universe goes to sleep. After the end of Brahma's night, the creation of the 3 worlds begins again in the daytime of Brahma, and they continue to exist through the life durations of 14 consecutive manus or fathers of mankind. Each and every Manu enjoys a life of a little more than 71 sets of 4 millenniums. After the dissolution of each and every Manu, the next Manu comes in order along with his descendants who rule over the different planets. But the 7 famous sages and demigods like Indra and their followers, such as the Gandharvas, all appear simultaneously with Manu. In the creation during Brahma's day, the 3 planetary systems, Svarga, Martya, and Patala, resolve, and the inhabitants, including the lower animals, human beings, demigods, and pittas, appear and disappear in terms of their fruited activities. In each and every change of Manu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears by manifesting his internal potency in different incarnations as Manu and others. Thus, he maintains the universe by discovered power.
Okay, 7. Is that 27?
28 is one just about to read.
All right, read to 30 then. Keep it simple.
At the end of the day, under the insignificant portion of the mode of darkness, the powerful manifestation of the universe merges in the darkness of night. By the influence of eternal time, the innumerable living entities remain merged in that dissolution, and everything is silent. When the night of Brahma ensues, all the three worlds are out of sight, and the sun and the moon are without glare, just as in the due course of an ordinary night.
Okay. So, who's next? G'day, Prabhu. Can you read? 31.
The devastation takes place due to the fire emerging from the mouth of Sankarshan, and thus great sages like Brigu and other inhabitants of Mahaloka transport themselves to Janaloka, being distressed by the warmth of the blazing fire which rages through the three worlds below. At the beginning of the devastation, all the seas overflow, and hurricane winds blow very violently. Thus the waves of the seas become ferocious, and in no time all the three worlds are full of water. The Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, lies down in the water on the seat of Ananta, and with his eyes closed, and the inhabitants of Janaloka planets offer their glorious prayers unto the Lord with folded hands. Thus the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for every one of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in the different planets. The 100 years of Brahma's life are divided into two parts, the first half and the second half. The first half of the duration of Brahma's life is already over, and the second half is now current. In the beginning of the first half of Brahma's life, there was a millennium called Brahma Kalpa, wherein Lord Brahma appeared. The birth of the Vedas was simultaneous with Brahma's birth. The millennium which followed the first Brahma millennium is known as the Padma Kalpa, because in that millennium the universal lotus flower grew out of the navel reservoir of water of the Personality of Godhead Hari. O descendant of Bharat, the first millennium in the second half of the life of Brahma is also known as the Varaha millennium, because the Personality of Godhead appeared in that millennium as the Hog incarnation. The duration of the two parts of Brahma's life, as above mentioned, is calculated to be equal to 1 Nimesha, less than a second, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unchanging and unlimited and is the cause of all causes of the universe. Eternal time is certainly the controller of different dimensions, from that of an atom up to the super divisions of the duration of Brahma's life. But nevertheless, it is controlled by the Supreme. Time can control only those who are body conscious, even up to the Satyaloka or the other higher planets of the universe. Want me to keep reading, Maharaj?
Well, there's only a couple of 42.
There's only a couple of verses left, yeah. This phenomenal material world is expanded to a diameter of 4 billion miles as a combination of 8 material elements transformed into 16 further categories, within and without, as follows. The layers of elements covering the universes are each 10 times thicker than the one before, and all the universes clustered together appear like atoms in a huge combination. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is therefore said to be the original cause of all causes. Thus, the spiritual abode of Vishnu is eternal without a doubt, and it is also the abode of Mahavishnu, the origin of all manifestation.
We can just imagine how entrapped we are. We think that, we tend to think of the covering as being, anyway, I don't know how we think of it, but I do. I think it's not so much. But when you read this, it's like if you can find, say, a match head, and that's the area of the universe, and then 10 times that, then 10 times that. You're going to finish up, on the outskirts of Leeds or Manchester, you know, when you come to the final covering. So it's like, it's not a small thing, is it? Okay. All these things are meant to inspire into us that, you know, this is like not a very nice place. Creation of the Kumaras and others. This is chapter 12. I think we can read this as well. Yeah. Who's next then? Gauridas Prabhu.
Krishna Maharaj. Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, as far as I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kalpa, now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Brahma first created the nascent engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, hunger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity.
So this is ignorance. First thing he creates is ignorance. First thing he has to do is get everybody to forget their real identity. And it's different levels. First is, they call it tamaha. This is ignorance of our real constitutional swarupa. We forget who we really are. Then moham. This is, you know, forgetfulness of our identity as a servant of Krishna. Moha moham. Maha moham. This is, we become attached to things in this world and develop, you know, a desire to keep them, possessiveness. Tamishram. And then anger arises when we can't enjoy them properly. And finally, anatamishram. You know, it's called a sense of death. I don't know what it actually means exactly, but that's the ultimate, you know, controller in this world.
Is it the fear of death?
Fear of death.
Like, because I'm the body, so I'm going to die.
Maybe. I'm not reading the Bhagavatam. Is that what it says in the Bhagavatam? I'm just reading.
No, well, it just says sense of death in the translation. Obviously, I didn't read the purport.
Yeah. So that's maybe.
Yes. Yeah. It says by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death. So obviously, if we think with the body, then you're going to be fearful.
Yeah.
Does this represent the false ego? All of these, covering.
Yes, it's all different coverings of false ego. Yeah.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. In the beginning, Brahma created 4 great sages named Sanaka, Sanatana, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumaras. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semen flowing upwards. Brahma spoke to his sons after generating them. My dear sons, he said, now generate progeny. But due to their being attached to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they aimed at liberation, and therefore they expressed their unwillingness. We carry Mars?
We can start at what's next. We can. Haridas Prabhu, can you read? Sutram 6.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Text 6, did you say?
Yeah.
On the refusal of the sons to obey the order of their father, there was much anger generated in the mind of Brahma, which he tried to control and not express. Although he tried to curb his anger, it came out from between his eyebrows, and a child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. After his birth, he began to cry, "O Destiny Maker, Teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place." The all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request, and said, "Do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire." Thereafter Brahma said, "O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people, because you have so anxiously cried. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names: Manu, Mahanas, Mahan, Shiva, Ratabas, Ugrarita, Bhav, Kala, Vamadev, and Vritadra." Yeah. Shall I carry on? Text 13.
Yeah, go to 15, yeah.
Okay.
Where did you start? I forgot where you started.
I forgot why I started as well, to be fair. Anyway. O Rudra, you also have 11 wives called the Rudrinis, and they are as follows: Priti, Risala, Uma, Niyut, Darapi, Ila, Ambika, Arbhati, Vadha, and Dixa. My dear boy, you may now accept all the names and places designated for you and your different wives, and since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale. The most powerful Rudra, whose bodily color was blue mixed with red, created many offspring exactly resembling him in features, strength, and furious nature.
Okay, so next is pretty much you.
The sons and grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entities, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Brahma told Rudra, "O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities of this nature. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance, which is auspicious for all living entities, and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. By penance only can one even approach the personality of Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity and at the same time beyond the reach of all senses." Sri Maitreya said, "Thus Rudra, having been ordered by Brahma, circumambulated his father, the master of the Vedas. Addressing him with the words of assent, he entered the forest to perform austere penances."
Okay, so we can stop at it. That's 20. So this is a long list again of, how he created. Different great sages represent different parts of the body. Like Vashishta is the breathing, Daksha is the thumb, Bhrigu is the touch, Kratu is the hand, Pulasha ears, and so forth. So it doesn't, you know, it's not really, doesn't really gel so much at the moment. So we'll just accept that there are different living entities who are in charge of different parts of the body. And there are also different qualities that instigate a dharma, it says, and different qualities that instigate dharma. Dharma is the breast of the Lord. Paramatma is situated there. Where's irreligion situated?
Back.
On the side.
Back side.
Back side, yeah. What's the factors that instigate adharma, not irreligion? One is anger. We just said about anger. That's Rudra. He comes from between the eyebrows. Lust and desire are the heart. Greed is the lips. Power of speaking is mouth. Like that. Okay. Yeah. So you can carry on from 28, Mataji. You should.
28, Overview, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak who was born from his body and who attracted his mind towards sex, although she was not sexually inclined towards him. Thus, finding their father so deluded in an act of immortality, the sages, headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. O Father, this performance in which you are endeavouring to complicate yourself was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor by you in previous kalpas, nor will anyone dare to attempt it in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe, so how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? Even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead who, by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifested the cosmos. May he also protect religion for all goodness. The father of all Prajpatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajpati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later, that body appeared in all directions as a dangerous fog in darkness.
Okay. So that body is mentality. He gave up the mentality. So, you know, it didn't actually stop Brahma from creating. He'd been temporarily put into that illusion. And, you know, there's a lesson to learn from that, that, you know, he's the creator of everything in the universe. And he's still not capable of overcoming this sex attraction. And later on in the Bhagavatam, we hear about Lord Shiva, who's actually more powerful than Brahma, how he became attracted also. And he's called the most, you know, Vaishnava Yatashambhu is the best Vaishnava. So, you know, in these lessons, we can understand that this is a very powerful energy. So we should be very careful how we associate. So then it starts from verse 34 to 49, and then from 34 to 49, it talks about the four heads of Brahma, the northern head, the southern head, the western head, and the eastern head. How different Vedas came from that head, and different subdivisions of the Vedas came from different heads, like that. And then it talks about, you know, the four legs of Dharma, talks about 4 types of brahmacharis. And he goes on to talk about different creations, in other words, 4 types of vanaprasthas, sannyasis, like that.
Maharaj?
Yeah.
So obviously, you read that in different universes, there's Lord Brahmas with even more heads. So how does that work when we're talking about the 4-headed Brahma, the different Vedas? Does that mean there's more Vedas in different universes?
Maybe. I mean, actually, it says that the Srimad Bhagavatam is only a fraction of the Bhagavatam on other planets. So it's possible that there's more Vedas as well. You know, when you think about it, Krishna's unlimited. Prabhupada gave when his spiritual master asked Prabhupada to, anyway, Prabhupada, he was questioned about how can we produce a newspaper every week or every day or something. And he said, listen, you know, they're producing 2 or 3 issues a day of some newspapers just on the material world. He says that, you know, the spiritual world's 4 times bigger. So we can produce, so, you know, it's unlimited. I was listening to a tape of Prabhupada about, just to put things in perspective, he was talking about the frog in the well trying to understand, you know, what the Pacific Ocean's like. And, you know, even in our wildest imagination, even the wildest imagination of Brahma, he cannot understand, you know, Krishna's power of expansion. He's been expanding from the beginning of time, so it's like, it's not calculable. You know what I mean? So we start thinking about, 4 Vedas. Phew, a lot of verses there, you know. How can you have more than that? But when we're talking about Krishna's energy, we you know, just forget it. We just accept that, you know, it's unlimited. We have a limited brain to speak about Krishna. But, you know, what is it? It's Ananta. He's been glorifying Krishna with all his heads since the beginning of creation, and he's still going strong. So it gives us some indication of, you know, and that same Supreme Personality of Godhead is interested in us. It's like, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Okay, so we'll go to 40. Start from 48. So who's next? It's Hamsini Mataji. Can you start reading from 48?
Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the Absolute Truth and is invested with multifarious energies. Thereafter, Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden. Thus he engaged himself in the matter of further creation. O son of the Kurus, when Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of sages of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he began to seriously consider how the population could be increased. Brahma thought to himself, alas, it is wonderful that in spite of my being scattered all over, there is still insufficient population throughout the universe. There is no other cause for this misfortune save and except destiny. While he was thus absorbed in contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, 2 other forms were generated from his body. They are still celebrated as the body of Brahma. The 2 newly separated bodies united together in a sexual relationship. Out of them, the one who had the male form became known as the Manu, named Swabhava, can't say it, sorry, and the woman became known as Satyarupa, the queen of the great soul Manu. Thereafter, by sex indulgence, there gradually increased generations of population one after another. O son of Bharat, in due course of time he, Manu, begot in Satarup 5 children, 2 sons, Pirabhatra, Uttanapada, and 3 daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prashuti. The father Manu handed over his first daughter, Akuti, to the sage Ruchi, the middle daughter, Devahuti, to the sage Kardama, and the youngest, Prashuti, to Daksha. From them all the world filled with population. Hare Krishna.
So that's the end of the 12th chapter.
So that's Adam and Eve.
Well, I mean, it is one, we could say that. I mean, we don't really know how they correlate, but, you know, we can think of it like that. Where did Adam and Eve come from? You know, why don't it mention Brahma in the Bible, you know? But it's amazing how, you know, Brahma is just thinking how to create, and all of a sudden 2 living entities pop out of his body, you know, just the right thing to solve his problem. And so we can think like that, you know, we don't see any solution to a particular situation, but at any moment Krishna can actually solve it, you know. You know, Brahma's got more responsibility than we've got. You know, he's got to populate the whole universe. That's his Sankirtan. And, you know, he can't do it all on his own. He's realizing that it's not working fast enough.
Maharaj, is Brahma still creating, or is he finished with the creation? And
What's that?
Is Brahma still creating, or has he finished his creation now?
Well, he's having a rest now. You know, creation's going on, and he's, you know, just administrating it and delegating. And then, you know, when it gets to evening time, he'll take rest. And then next morning, he's got it all to do again. The whole creation. You know, he's got his work cut out. So he's probably building up his energy for tomorrow. You know, it's like, you know, 100 years to us is 100 years. 100 years for an ant is, you know, an ant may live for like a few days, but he feels like he's living 100 years. And Brahma, he lives for 100 of his years, but he just feels like it's, you know, like we feel about our years. So he's got a lot of creations to do, you know. And then, you know, a life of Brahma is like a flash in eternity compared to the, you know, the life of Mahavishnu, or the existence of, it says it's a flash in eternity compared to his breathing. He breathes out once, and, you know, there's so many Brahmas created. And then he breathes in again. So, you know, it's like, we can just understand how insignificant this creation is.
So Maharaj, Hare Krishna Lalita Preeti. So the time exists in the spiritual world, because I thought there is no time in the spiritual world.
There's no material time. Material time brings fear, don't it?
Yeah, but in the earlier we said that these many millennium of years are just like the less than second of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, I mean, how would you understand it unless it's explained in a way we can understand, you know? We don't even know what spiritual time is. We can't get our head around that.
Mm.
You know, it's explained in a way that we can get some understanding.
Mm.
The understanding, what I've read in Bhagavatam, is that time brings fear because it takes away the duration of our life. And, you know, things are moving on, life's going by. But in the spiritual world, there's no taking away of your life. And even for a devotee, time doesn't have the same effect, because, you know, it says that ayur harati by punksha, you know, by the rising and setting of the sun, takes away the duration of speaking for everybody else's benefit. as well. It takes away the duration of our life, but for one who's hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's actually it's not taking away the duration of his life. It's been extended into eternity by his activity. But it doesn't mean to say when we go to the spiritual world that there'll be no activity. There'll be activity. There'll be spiritual time. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions. He says that in the spiritual world, even if you chop up a potato and stick it in the pan, and you're going to cook for Krishna. It says that Radharani, when she's cooking, she'll lift the pan lid up and say, "Are you ready yet?" The potato will say, "Not quite, not yet." So what happens to the potato? It's like it's.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Anything else? It's 8 o'clock now. Anyway, we've got to the end of the 12th chapter. So this has been the creation of the Kumaras, and then the Kumaras refused to actually procreate, and Brahma became angry. Then Rudra was born, and then eventually he created. And then Satarupa and Swayambhu Manu were born. And the Prajapatis, then, Akyuti, Devahuti, Prasuti, they married Ruchi, Kadama. And where did they come from? Ruchi, Kadama, and Daksha, It's another question. So we might find out later. Don't miss next week's episode. Where did Ruchi come from? Kadama and Daksha. So next we will talk about appearance of Lord Brahma, Lord Varaha. So now we're going to get into a new pastime. Okay, Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. See you next week.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Everyone.